So, I mean, first off, right, obviously I know you, but most people probably don't.
Sure.
So, Steve Bloom with Moen.
Yep, that is correct.
Just give me like a quick, quick background.
Yep, sure. So actually 2 weeks from now will mark my 9-year anniversary with Moen.
Awesome.
Time flies when you're slinging faucets, but prior to that I did some other sales type work, but in a completely different industry. So I still feel like I'm learning something new every day.
Yeah,
but,
so I'm definitely going to use that "time flies when you're slinging faucets." That's going to be a quote somewhere on one of these videos.
Yeah, quote it.
I love it. What's your favorite go-to drink, cocktail, whatever it is after a shitty day?
Yeah, so basically, if it's a light beer, I'm drinking it, and the wimpy ones, the Mick Ultras and the Coors Lights. But every once in a while, I do like a flavored whiskey.
Okay.
Actually, there's one, and I wanted to thank you for having me on the cast. I am a fan. I brought you a bottle.
Oh, wow.
To say thank you. So it's Scatterbrain. It's a peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Okay.
If you don't like these, you could always regift it.
Yeah, no, I will definitely give it a try.
Okay.
I've had a peanut butter whiskey, but it definitely wasn't this. I don't know what it was.
There's a popular one called Screwball.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, that stuff is really good. It's surprisingly good.
Yeah, it is. It is. Similar, I do like the Scatterbrain a little bit better, but see what you think.
Yeah. Hey, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on.
There. That's really cool. So, usually light beers.
Usually
sometimes,
just light beers.
Sometimes is this your favorite flavored whiskey?
When I stray away from the light beers, yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that brings me back to my Navy days where we'd go out and we'd have a shot and a beer.
Okay.
I feel in just rounds of that, and then like you forget at some point what you were even doing or drinking.
Right. Yeah. As they continue, you kind of forget that. So.
Yeah. So my thought here. So you're the first, I guess non-management person that I've had on. And the reason I wanted to do this is because, a lot of times we'll have, like you've come to some of my sales meetings and we'll talk about kind of the new stuff that Moen has, or even some of the existing stuff the Moen has that, we weren't aware of, or we weren't aware of certain features of. And then, my team goes out and we try to educate the customer on that. And I feel like this platform is a good place to give that information straight to the customer. I think there's some of those things that customers aren't aware of, and that it makes life easier. It saves time. It saves money. There's benefits to a lot of these products.
Well, I'm happy to again be here. Thank you once again for having me. But anytime that somebody is welcoming me to speak about different products that we have out there, I'm all for it. So
yeah, I mean, one of the first things that comes to mind. Being a former maintenance guy, I think a lot about like the towel bars in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Trying to hang those. There's different widths, trying to get them level, trying to make sure they're the right spacing to get the bar in there. Moen has a pretty cool tool called the ProFit.
That's correct.
That goes on the wall. It's got all the holes like pre-marked in it for the different distances.
That you're 100% right. It's the ProFit tool, and whether you're using maybe trying to install a 24-inch towel bar or an 18-inch towel bar, the holes are already lined up. Some of those products that you may find at a local box store, there'll be a paper type stencil, if you will, and trying to line that up can be a challenge sometimes, but with the ProFit tool, it really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
There's an application on the end for the paper holder as well, and I don't want to say idiot proof, but it's a really, really helpful tool.
Yeah, I'd say it's darn close.
Yeah.
And so I guess to backtrack just a little, I would imagine that everything we're about to talk about has a Moen part number, a manufacturer part number.
Correct.
And so what I'll do is when we go back and edit, I'll put those part numbers in to the conversation.
Awesome.
For those that are watching on video. And then I'll put it in the comments on the other platforms so that you can pull those part numbers pretty easily. So wherever you shop, or if you just want to Google it and see where it's available, anybody that hears something that we talk about that you want to go find, we'll post those Moen part numbers.
That would be great. Thank you for doing that. And I also want to mention in that tool, there's a built-in level. So again, not totally idiot-proof, but pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, I mean, when we first heard about, we loved it. The maintenance guys love it. We've done classes for management companies with Moen, and you guys give out those tools. And I mean, it is close to idiot-proof as you're going to get. I mean, those paper stencils get the job done, but they get it done once. They might not be level. You're in a bathroom with water. Paper doesn't do well with water. I mean, there's a lot that goes wrong with those things.
Yeah,
so.
That is true. And they're also durable enough. They're made out of pretty heavy plastic. So if your kids are getting out of line or something, if you got one at home, a lot of uses for the ProFit tool.
That's right. So, yeah, you walk in to turn the vacant, and turns out there's someone crashing in the vacant.
That's right.
Bust out your ProFit tool.
There you go.
Please don't do that. Okay, well, and so that also then makes me think of one of the common work orders that I would get, and I imagine is still out there, is when people would just tear that towel bar out of the wall because it was in the drywall with just a couple of screws. Moen has a pretty good towel bar end that not only is just one screw, but that screw has a built-in anchor.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, because as we know, anybody that's worked in the industry for a while, lots of times these accessories go up and there's just not a whole lot of support behind it. But what I think you're referring to is our secure mount anchors. We can't say that that they're necessarily ADA approved, but we have done tests where it will hold up to 500 pounds. Again, we can't make that claim.
Got it.
But there are videos out you can find online. It doesn't have to just go into a stud. It just does a wonderful job of really offering all the support you'll need.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in most cases people are using a towel bar anchor that takes 2 screws, and so trying to get that leveled out without the ProFit tool. And then most of the time it just goes into the drywall. Sometimes they'll use the little plastic anchor for the drywall, but we all know that residents, their kid is hanging from that thing or something. So the built-in anchor is a phenomenal feature.
I should make it point out the fact that all of our accessories do not necessarily come with the secure mount anchors. It's an additional, it's an add-on, but they are available.
Well, yeah, and I imagine a few of the things we'll talk about are going to come in different finishes. We'll probably post the Moen part number for one finish, an example of the product, just so there isn't 400 part numbers.
Sounds good.
And just kind of keep it easy. And I mean, anybody that hears something that they can't find, feel free to message me on any of the platforms. We'll either get to the bottom of it or I'll get you directly in touch with Steve.
Sounds great.
Okay, so I mean, I think without getting into the obvious faucets, right, I feel like we should save those for last because I think everybody knows Moen does faucets.
Right.
One of the things we learned a couple of years back was that you guys are in the disposal business, and I feel like disposal's kind of a dirty word right now because no one can find them.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. It is kind of a dirty word. You think about what they do. They grind up, food and stuff you don't want, which can get dirty. But I want to say it was 6 or 7 years ago, we acquired a company in California, AMC, which is Anaheim Manufacturing Company. And we kind of got into it as like it was a hobby. But before we knew it, it really started to take off for us. Without geeking out too much, what separates ours from the competition, it's the design of the motor. We have, again, I don't mean to geek out too much, but it's a permanent magnet motor, which basically it's kind of, think of power drill. When you put power to it, it's full speed immediately right away. Some of the other guys, it's an induction motor. So think of like a ceiling fan where it takes a while to get ramped up at full speed. Because we have power immediately, less jams. So also want to mention too that all of ours come with the cord. God, I sound like such a sales guy. I'm sorry.
I mean, look, I feel like features and benefits are what matters here. I think most of the listeners, find value in that, right? They don't want to just hear about, we're not trying to sell them a garbage disposal, right? It's, what makes yours different, why it's, better. The fact that it's less likely to jam, because of that magnet motor. We actually have a post going right now on Facebook about crazy things people have pulled out of garbage disposals. Looking for the craziest. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff, but one of the first comments was half of I think it was a canary, but some kind of bird.
Oh, wow.
Resident was trying to dispose of their pet. So I'm not sure where that post is going to go, but we might have an early winner. That is by far the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That is crazy. I was listening to one of the earlier casts that you did, and I think you brought it up, where you got a work order. Maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was one of your guests, but a work order came in that somebody's bone crusher was broken.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
Okay. We do have a disposal. It's a full 1 horsepower. And on this thing, we have pictures of chicken bones, and with this disposal, you can grind up chicken bones.
Wow.
I wouldn't, not beef or steak, but it made me think of that when I heard your cast about the bone crusher.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is there's some crazy residents out there, and no matter what we tell them, things are going to accidentally up in the disposer, and people are going to knowingly put things in there they shouldn't. And so if we can put something a little stronger, like there's a big push years ago to upgrade. Most people use the 1/3 horse.
Sure.
There's a push to get people into the 1/2 horse because it was less likely to jam because it's stronger. So, I mean, if we have something that would grind up those bones, it probably grinds up, the shot glass that goes in there too.
Yep, sure.
The wine glass, those types of things. Again, less likely to jam. It might cost you a little more on the front end, but it's going to last longer because there's less wear and tear on it. And less likely to jam means less work orders, which means your maintenance guys can spend time on other work orders.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, soft dollar savings in some of those upgraded disposals where, you might pay a little more up front, but like you said, it's going to save you money on the back end. One thing I think that's worth mentioning, certainly with today's supply chain where it's hard to get stuff, and whether I talk to builders a lot, shingles is an issue, trusses is an issue, but I will say at the time this is being recorded, we're in a very good inventory position as a company on disposals. So if you currently use a competitive brand and you're not able to get those, maybe give a Moen a shot at this point, because again, we're in a very good inventory position.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Moen is the 3-mount, the 3-bolt mount. So anything like the InSinkErator or the Badger, those types of things that use that mount, it would be the same mount?
That's correct. The flange is the same. Obviously, we don't recommend using the competitive flange, but it would work.
Yeah, so realistically, right, it comes with a flange in every disposal, but I've met a lot of maintenance guys. I've seen a lot of them work. I used to be one of them. And, if you can save a few minutes by not changing that out, then some of them will.
Yeah.
So either way, whichever side you're on,
that's right.
Just be aware it's the 3-bolt mount, which is quite popular out there. So just disposal wise, I'm trying to make sure that we've covered all the bases there.
One thing I left out on that chicken wing crushing 1 horsepower, we do have a lighted LED collar, so when the homeowner opens up the cabinets underneath, it kind of lights up under there. So if you're looking for a sponge or some cleaning chemicals, we're looking at ways to make products better.
Yeah.
One other thing that I think is going to be a rolling change for us on all of our disposals is a 360-degree rinse. Sometimes you get a smell coming from your garbage disposal, and we found that that's because the water in the splash guard, it's designed to go straight down, so there's no water hitting the sides of the disposal, so all that food that it's grinding up kind of gets stuck there. So basically what we did, we changed the design of our splash guards, so now when the water goes down, it's going down the sides as well as down the middle.
Interesting.
Which will hopefully reduce some of the smells when you use ours. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we deal with on work orders. And then on top of that, when you turn an apartment, that's one of the things that has to get cleaned out or replaced. So that's cool. The LED, is that a standard or is that a specific model that has the LED?
It's the most upgraded model. It's that 1 horsepower.
Okay.
I'll send you the model.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure we include that one too, because that's really cool. And again, for there's, I think this is going to come into play in some of the later things we talk about. But there's rents are going up. That's no secret.
For sure.
There's a lot of people looking for reasonable upgrades to help justify those rents, and so that more durable disposer, it's a benefit for the property. Because you're not going to get as many work orders, but it also, that LED light under the cabinet seems like a pretty cool little feature. You mentioned they all come with cords, which is great. Because, some customers need them, but if you don't, you can always take that bottom plate off and just hardwire it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I feel like, especially a disposal that does all those things and is in stock in most places.
Yeah,
that's a big win right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, for sure. And also, like you said, it's easy to remove the cord. It does not void the warranty if you do need to hardwire it. So.
Do you know offhand what the warranties are?
I do. Okay. So for our 3.5 horse, it's a 5-year.
Oh wow! So a lot of the thirds are standard 1 year.
Correct.
And when you get into the half, it becomes a longer warranty.
Yeah. And so then as you go up to the 3/4 and 1 horsepower, it's a 10-year.
Okay, so for a little more money, you get the 1 horsepower that's a lot less likely to jam with what the residents throw in there. You get that LED light, which is a little bit of an added feature for residents, and then you a 10-year warranty. So.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal. Again, we years ago kind of got into disposals as just kind of a hobby for us, and it has grown into a substantial, revenue stream for us. So it's worked out great. We're pretty confident and comfortable in our product that we're putting out there, and the feedback's been good. So
yeah, it's funny how that works out sometimes.
Yeah,
I know a guy that just started a podcast for no reason at all. Thought it would be good, and it's growing into something.
Absolutely, so. Those things happen.
So to talk about that smart apartment, right? So a lot of customers, a lot of the managers I talk to are trying to find things to put into the apartments, and smart kind of that's the cool thing to do right now. There's a few products that Moen has that kind of fall into that smart bucket. One of them, and I don't want to steal your thunder, is the Flo Smart. So I guess I'll let you introduce that, because I think this is another one that would be great for the industry.
So we are calling it the Flo By Moen, and basically it is a leak detection valve. And how it works. It goes through a series of algorithms when you first hook it up to get to learn and understand your normal water usage patterns. So again, when you first get it, first couple weeks, it's kind of learning. After that, if it detects something out of the norm, it's going to make you aware via a text message. That's if it detects something little, maybe a toilet flapper. And it won't tell you where it's leaking. It'll just tell you, hey, there's something that's not normal.
A little extra consumption.
Yeah. Now, however, if it is a catastrophic leak, what it's going to do is cut the water off to, the whole apartment. And it's also going to text, and you'll probably also get a phone call too. Okay,
so you mount it on the main line.
Yeah.
Feeding the apartment.
I understand that this is a podcast and some people are just listening, but for anybody that is watching, I did bring one, and I'd like to.
Awesome. Yeah. So for those that listen and don't watch the audio or the video, watch the audio, that don't watch the video is on YouTube, it's on Spotify, and this is the reason right here to hop on the video. But for those that are listening, Steve's got a nice little sample here of the Flo by Moen.
So basically it ties in at the water main. We offer it in 3 different sizes, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, and 1.25 inch. And again, it gets to know your normal patterns. You do need a power source for it. it is Wi-Fi enabled, but it's not Wi-Fi dependent. There's a big difference in those two. Some of the competitive brands, it's Wi-Fi dependent. So if Wi-Fi goes down, now we're out of commission monitoring leaks. So one thing we talk about is the damages that result from water damage, and it's more than fire and theft combined. I will say that Moen, we come out with some products that, well, quite honestly, I wouldn't put them in my home, but this is not one of those products. I feel every home should have this.
Yeah, I mean, I think about, so you talk about water damage. I think most of the people listening have had a water issue on one of their properties, and I think we all know that unless you have a single-story building, that leak is always on the top floor.
Sure.
Which then trickles down into all the lower floors.
Of course.
So, I mean, something like this, in my mind, I feel like in most cases, the water heater is in the closet with the air handler. I know in some cases it's not. But, I mean, you could almost grab the water main right there by the water heater and connect this. There's power there because the water heater's there.
Well, let's even take it one step further. So this was initially designed for single family. What we are introducing now, and we're well underway with it, is dashboard, which pertains to strictly the multifamily world. There are some things depending on if the condos are owned by individual people or if it's an apartment complex and the parent company owns the pipes, right? But basically the head of maintenance at that property would have like an iPad, if you will, and they would be able to monitor water usage. They would be alerted if there was a leak on the top floor, right on their iPad. They would get a notice on their smartphone, but then if they had the iPad, they could see, which unit it was and that sort of thing. So we're very excited about the opportunities and possibilities in the multifamily arena.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you get one in every single unit. It brings me back to my days as a maintenance supervisor. We had a property where I was on call for the weekend. I got a call at like 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning from a resident who was at the airport. It's like, hey, when I went to bed last night, my floor was a little wet, but I had to get up early, so I didn't say anything. I'm at the airport now, and it's really wet.
Yeah.
Well, he also lived next door to the model. And so I came out, I went to his apartment, and it was wetter on the wall that shares the wall with the model. I went into the model, and the faucet, which was not a Moen, had blown apart. The cartridge had blown out of it, and it was just gushing water. There was 2 feet of water in the model all the way over into that apartment, and had something like this been there, it would have shut off, but at the very least it would have notified us that was happening. Absolutely. Instead of waiting until the next day. So the model floods, the vacant units doing the same thing. And I mean, we don't walk vacants that often.
Right.
I think there's a lot of value in something like that.
I do too. And if you have 1 or 2 incidents like you had, they'll start to pay for themselves. Also regarding insurance, I know on the single family side, they are offering discounts if you do have this off your homeowners. And I can't imagine why on the multifamily side they wouldn't be doing the same. Yeah. Just the dollars involved in a claim like the one you're describing or worse. In a case like that, if the cartridge had blown out, it would have cut the water off immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point is, get with the insurance company because there very well could be a reduction in the insurance. I imagine if you had a whole property outfitted with that, it would probably increase the value of the property because as an investment, it's less likely to have that water damage issue. So, I mean, this was something that when you told me about it the first time, I was like, man, it's awesome. I mean, it is something that should absolutely be standard in every unit. I guess you could try to make a case for doing one per building, but I think it's much bigger than a 1-inch pipe, and it's less. You'd be cutting off a whole building if there's a flood somewhere.
Right.
I also go back to when the property manager would pay bills and we'd have a vacant with a crazy high water bill. You go over there and look, and it's the flapper's been leaking, but it's been leaking for 3 weeks, and nobody knew. And you learn real quick how much water you can lose through a toilet with a leaky flapper. Oh man, this chair gets me every time. Every time.
Yeah, that's true though. You don't realize, you just until you see the bill, and by then it's too late. You got to pay the bill. But again, we're really excited about it, especially going into the multifamily environment. It's exciting, and again, it's a product that I truly believe in. I really do. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, again, something that I would put in my own home. You know, if you've got a rental that you're not always at, you know, again, something a great fit for that. And I mean, obviously, you know, all the benefits we talked about from a multifamily standpoint.
Even peace of mind, Jason. Like if you're going out of town with your family for the week, it's all done through your smartphone, so you can just cut the water off to the whole house right from your phone, and you don't have to worry about any of it. It's just a really nice thing.
So if I have the resident that never picks up their dog poop, I could cut their water off. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Do not do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, I mean, I think you know, having that safety net across the board, having it automatically do those things too, because it almost always happens that flood happens, and it might be an occupied apartment, but it's the resident's at work or the resident's out of town.
Sure.
You know, which is why it gets so bad. So I mean, that safety net seems, I mean, it seems like common sense to me. It definitely seems like something we should be doing.
Yeah, and again, very early stages with the multifamily, with the dashboard application, but Moen figures stuff out. At first, maybe it's not always perfect, but we learn from our mistakes, and we continually just try and make products better. So, and who knows, maybe we'll get to the point where we do make a Flo By Moen valve that is big enough for the main. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's possible. The concern there would be that, you know, you've got a building with 30 units in it. Yeah, one of them has a leak, and now you get 29 of them blowing up the phone saying, you know, why is my water off?
Good point.
So,
good point.
Yeah, it's possible, and it might be slightly less expensive than doing one in every unit, but I think that the headaches it would cause, it's worth, I think one in every unit is the way to go.
Yeah. Also, in the new construction phase, we have something that it's called local mode. So again, when you get back to that whole Wi-Fi enabled but not dependent, lots of times in the new construction phase, there is no Wi-Fi. It's not going to be there for months. But as the property's being built, it's still going to be protected because of that local mode. You'll be notified, and it will do its job in the event of a catastrophic leak during construction. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I mean, the challenge with Wi-Fi from a multifamily standpoint is that, you know, that resident moves in and sets up a Wi-Fi network, but then when they move out, you know, next resident comes, it's a new Wi-Fi, it's a new, you know, what a
username and password.
Yeah. So
Sure.
it's almost the local, I think, would be the way to go. Unless, and I mean, maybe this is something that's happening, but you know, if communities are putting like a central Wi-Fi into some of the newer buildings as an amenity, you know, move in and the building already has Wi-Fi.
Are they doing that?
I don't know. Not
That's
that I know of,
great
but
thought.
yeah, it is something that, I mean, of course, then you'd have to, you know, recover some money on that, you know, charge residents for the Wi-Fi or something. But just in case that's something that's happening, I think that would be a good case to hook these up to the Wi-Fi, because that network wouldn't change.
Right. But yeah, with dashboard, again, it's Wi-Fi enabled, so it's not dependent on anybody's Wi-Fi per se, any of the residents. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Flo Smart or the Flo By Moen?
You know, I would tell folks if they're considering it, do your due diligence. Look at some competitive ones too, and you'll see limitations. We're real pleased with ours. I will say at this time that this is being recorded, our inventory position on the Flo isn't as strong as we would like. We're getting there. It's been so popular, which I guess is a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's definitely the right problem to have. And I mean, I'd say that, you know, something like this to outfit a whole building would take, or a whole community would take some time anyways. So, inventory over time would probably be the way to go. You know,
Yeah.
if you sent me 400 of them, it's going to take me a few months to put them in, or a few weeks.
Yeah. Really, with the chip shortage, where we've kind of landed is we partnered with Lennar Homes, a huge national builder. And so we have a contractual obligation with them to provide these units on 80% of the new homes they build. So with the chip shortage, we're doing everything we can to just support the Lennar agreement. So,
But I mean, that says a lot about the valve too, that they're willing to put it in every home.
correct. Yeah, they don't want to add cost to their homes. If anything, they want their costs to come down. But their willingness to spend the extra to get this for their buyers, that, you're right, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, I mean, we all have budgets that we have to live by, but you need to look at the total cost. The cost of the flood. If that were to happen, some of these other products, the cost of the time it takes to do it the old way versus, the new way. I think you've got to look at total cost.
Yeah, I agree. And again, with those insurance savings, might pay for itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something worth bringing up, worth looking into. I know there's some companies that they get a break on their workers' comp insurance because they do certain trainings monthly, safety meetings, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody in the industry is a stranger to trying to find the discounts on the insurance side. So
And they're probably not going to give them to you if you don't ask. So
yeah, absolutely. No, they're not going to come to you and, hey, I heard you bought a Flo by Moen. We're going to give you a discount.
Right.
Right. They're probably also calling you from the IRS, with an Indian accent, if you're getting that phone call.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So you've gotten those too. Okay.
Oh, I love them. There's actually a podcast of a guy that just messes with those people, and I also enjoy doing that. I don't film it or anything because I don't have that kind of time. But my take on it is the longer I keep them on the phone with me, not scamming me, is less time they can spend actually scamming someone else.
Look at you. What a great way to look at it.
I like to answer those calls and just have fun with them. It's really enjoyable. Most of them will cuss you out before they hang up on you at the end.
Oh, do they get a little angry? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Okay. It's fun because they think they got you. They transfer you to the person that you're going to give your credit card number to or whatever it is, and then I'm not going to do that.
No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
but good for you again for
fun.
saying that the less time the more time I spend with them, less time they have to scam others. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, because look, obviously it's a profitable business. They must be scamming people because some of these have like ridiculous software and algorithms and stuff they're using to be able to do this. So that they're catching somebody if they're making this kind of money on it.
Unfortunately, I think you're right.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll do in retirement. I don't know. So again, thinking about smart things that we can put into apartments. I think the obvious ones would be on the kitchen and bath faucet side. Discovered something on your website in the past few days on the bath faucet side, being, I don't know what the name for it is. It's like a motion censored bath faucet. And for me, the thing I thought that was really cool about it is, when you wave next to the little eye to turn it on, that the handle actually moves out so that you could, soap your hands up and then wave next to it to turn it on. And then as you rinse your hands off, you could physically turn it off, or you could wave to turn it off.
Yeah, all great points. And thanks for bringing it up. What's happening, and I'm sure you know better than I, millennials are leaving the nest and they're moving out finally and buying homes, and they're basically demanding smart products. So that puts the task back on us as the manufacturer to try and find ways to keep up. And you got the names right. It's Motion Sense Wave Faucet. So we've had kitchen out for many years. Kitchen, and now we're actually at the point where you can control them multiple ways. An app on your phone, you can use the handle, you can wave, or you can talk to one of your Amazon Alexas or Google Assistant and say, I want 2 cups of water at 110 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's at that point.
Now, so that's really cool because, I mean, I've seen communities where they'll give you like an Alexa or the Amazon Assistant or the Google whatever she's called. I don't have her.
I'm not sure.
But I mean, because the small one is, relatively inexpensive. So some communities will give that to a resident as a renewal gift with some of the smart features like the light switches and stuff that interact with it. The faucet that not just turns on and off, because when you first said it, I was like, what do I turn on my faucet? How lazy am I?
Right.
But the measurement piece is really cool. The temperature is awesome. I didn't know it did that.
Yeah, so you can do a minimum of a tablespoon. You can do a maximum of 15 gallons, and then any amount there in between. But I have the Amazon's Alexa at my house, and you can set up skills. So if you say, Alexa, ask Moen to fill the baby bottle. Okay, baby bottle is 1 cup at this temperature. So you can teach it, the dog bowl or whatever. Then it knows it's 3 cups. And it also understands generic terms. So you don't need a temperature. You can say cold water or warm water or hot. So again, the millennials are demanding this technology. We're trying to put it out there. Scary. Did you make it by chance to K-Biz in Orlando last month? Mm-hmm. It's the kitchen and bath, big show, whatever. I didn't go either, but apparently I've heard from my coworkers and people that visited the Moen booth, we have a kitchen faucet coming out that doesn't have a handle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'd be scared. I'd need a FlowSense or Flo By Moen to go with it,
right?
Just in case.
Yeah. So I guess if you wave to the left, it's hot. Wave to the right, it's cold. Wave down, you need more water. And then if you kind of high five it, but don't touch it, that's what shuts it off.
That's really cool.
I don't know. I'm old school. I want a handle.
Well, that's right. That scares me. But, I guess we're at that age where the new cool high-tech stuff, we're just too old for it.
Yeah. I guess we are.
But again, you think about these areas. I mean, I've said it before, we're in Florida where, everybody's moving here. Rents are, going through the roof because of the demand. These luxury properties especially are looking for, things to add to justify some of those rents. And I feel like some of these faucets especially are, they say, kitchens sell homes.
Yeah.
I think for those of you that have really impressive kitchens in your apartments, I'm sure when you're touring the apartment, that's one of the things people say is, wow, this kitchen is awesome. I think kitchens rent apartments as well. Mm-hmm. And so, for the right person, being able to offer that type of faucet, that's why I like it as a renewal gift too. Because there are some residents that you don't want to put that in their apartment because you're just going to get a whole bunch of work orders because they don't know how to use it.
Sure.
So, to be able to have the control over which apartments it goes into. The other thing we've seen too is where some communities will do, it's like buying a car, right? When you buy a car, you can get, if it's a Chevy, you can get the Z71 package and that comes with these standard features. Well, we've seen apartments where they'll do give me the smart package. It's an extra $150 a month, but you get, these smart devices. We'll give you the smart thermostat and all that stuff in there. So to be able to offer it as a package too.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's, again, we've had the kitchen out for many years, the Motion Sense. The lav was something that we came out with last year. I'm not talking about the commercial faucets. We've had sensor commercial stuff for years, but for residential, we came out with the lav last year in 1 suite, and this year we've introduced 2 more, so a total of 3 different faucet suites. We're excited. Again, young folks want it, and we're going to give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fun to play with. I really like the idea of the kitchen faucet. Like I said, the wave thing is it's a little over my head, but I think there's a big audience of people that would love that. Mm-hmm. Again, you put one of those in your model, but not necessarily every apartment. And as you're touring, people will ask you. You won't even have to point it out. They'll be like, how come that thing doesn't have a handle? How do you use it? And
right.
Direct some traffic here and show them how to use it.
Sure.
And then, they'd probably be willing to spend the extra money, whether it's just on the faucet in their apartment or if you want to do one of those kind of smart suite upgrades for their apartment. But I think it's a good little value add.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it's for me, but I'm sure there's some. Again, I'm old school. I want a handle just in case,
Yeah. Well, and also in the kitchen too, I saw there's some faucets with some built-in water filters, or even I think you have a separate water filter option.
We do. So for many years, we've had the SIP is a beverage faucet that we offer, which was charcoal filter based. But just this year, we launched it at that KBIS, the Kitchen and Bath Show. We're now offering a reverse osmosis RO package. So if people are interested in that type of filtration, that's an option now from Moen.
Yeah, and I mean, so without geeking out, right, because I don't know too much about it, but I'll tell you, I was in the Navy where, when you go to sea, you have to make water. You can't drink ocean water.
Sure.
And reverse osmosis is the primary method for making that water drinkable.
Didn't know that.
So, I mean,
Cool.
to have an RO option, in a kitchen faucet or near the kitchen faucet, if it's a separate faucet,
is.
I mean, that's pretty high tech.
Yeah. Well, again, it's new for us. Our SIP carbon filter's been around for a while, but that's a fun fact. I didn't know that. That's how they do it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still how they do it, but
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely how they did it for us. And then when, they would have, on the ships I was on, had 2 plants that would do it. And when one goes down, then, they don't let you shower. 'Cause you can't waste the drinking water.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
That's a story for a different time.
Sure.
That's why they talk about the Navy shower, where you can shower in like 5 minutes or less because you got to conserve water.
That makes sense now.
Yeah. So the trick for any Navy people that are listening is to shower during mealtime, because the water is always on, so they can wash dishes. So that's the trick.
That's good.
And the lines are short for the shower because everybody's eating.
Right.
So eat quick and then shower.
Right.
And so the other thing about the filters too, what I noticed, what I saw, and I don't know if this is on all of them or on some, but they came with there was options for a 6-month or a 12-month filter. So, for our industry, one of the things we talk about with maintenance guys a lot is kind of doing this like 1-year inspection. Every time a unit is vacant and they turn it, there are certain preventative maintenance things that will be done. But for those residents that renew year after year after year, those things don't happen. And so we talk about, not just doing that preventative maintenance on the turn, but when they renew. And then you're basically every 12 months, you're in every single apartment.
Yeah.
And if you had this filter option, unlike a fridge where the light just turns on in like the 3-month-ish mark that you need a filter, and then you get a work order to go do the filter. If you're on that 12-month preventative cycle, then get you a 12-month filter and change it out every time you go in for preventative maintenance.
Yeah, so that would certainly make sense. And I got to think that the 12-month, every time they renew, is beneficial for both parties, right? Tenant and property management company, because it allows you to get in there and take a look if you haven't been in there for a while. But then it allows them to get a new filter. So
That's it.
It sounds like a win-win.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like I said, I kind of, scoured the website looking for the new cool stuff that I hadn't seen yet. Because, I love when you guys come in and show us, what the new cool stuff is. Is there anything else out there that I didn't
Yeah,
cover?
so, and I think it kind of stemmed from probably the toilet paper shortage during COVID. But we've come out with the eBidet toilet seats.
Yeah.
And again, maybe that it wasn't a result of the toilet paper shortage, but these things are pretty neat. They will clean you in places that you didn't even know, and then they'll dry you off. There's a feature where it blow dries you, and so in our country, toilet paper is a thing. There's a lot of countries where toilet paper doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
But again, some of my competitors, Toto and Kohler, have been in this space for a long time. It's new for us. Pretty competitive pricing when you look at some of the other pricing that's out there. But it's new for us, so I wanted to mention it.
Yeah, I think it's a cool concept because, like you say, in a lot of countries, it's the norm. Toilet paper is weird in other places, and for us, it's weird to not think of toilet paper. But the analogy I heard, and I mean, it's going to get kind of nasty, but I mean, if you got poop on your arm, would you grab a towel and just kind of smear it around until it was gone, or would you wash it off?
Sure. Yeah. You don't
So,
wash
I
it
mean,
off. Yeah.
why is that acceptable?
I don't know. Poop happens, right?
That's it.
Everywhere.
So, yeah,
And I'm with you. Yeah, you don't want to just smear it around.
Yeah. I imagine it probably connects to the water line the toilet uses.
It does.
Is it battery or is it plug-in?
We do have a battery option,
Okay.
but the majority of them, there's going to be a need for an electrical outlet down there. And it's just a standard, whatever, 110 or.
Yeah.
But so that's new. What else? Wall mount tub fillers. For years and years and years, we had one that was really, really expensive, and now we have a whole bunch of them. What's kind of neat about it, and again, I don't know in a multifamily type situation that it's applicable, but we'll talk about it a little bit. So it's 8 gallons a minute, which is decent flow, but what's nice about it, you can mount that handle anywhere. So down at one end of the tub, right above the spout, wherever you want it. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. That's the standard tub spout and handle combination.
Well, it's geared towards freestanding tubs. So again,
Okay,
probably
gotcha.
not a big player in the multifamily world, but
More on the high end, I would think. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're out there.
Yeah.
And then a lot of multifamilies getting into renting out groups of single family homes. So you start seeing other things
Yeah.
that way too.
one thing I'll mention, because some people might really find this to be a huge benefit, we do have a shower head that's it's called Inly, and INLY, but it's got you can put essential oils in the shower head.
Fancy.
Stay with me.
Fancy.
Yeah, Inly. The essential oil capsules don't last a whole long time, and by a whole long time, I'm talking 5 minutes.
So it's not going to last for my wife's whole shower.
No, but the good news is you don't need a capsule just to take a regular shower. But for some people, maybe after a long day of work, it's nice to kind of treat yourself to some aromatherapy or.
So it's more so it's going to give off the essential oils. It's not going to like mix them in the water and spray them on me.
It actually mixes them
It
in
does.
the water and sprays it on you. And I think we have 4 different
Interesting.
scents for it.
Again, renewal gift options for the right resident.
Right, right.
Upgrades for the right luxury space, possibly. There's one that I like. That you start talking about shower heads. Every now and then you get a request for the wand shower, and I know Moen has one that it's almost like a magnet on, and it's a wand.
Yeah.
And so it sticks up there and acts like a shower head, but then you can just grab it and take it down and use it like a wand.
Yep, you're right. And it's actually called Magnetix. So it's a 6-function head, and it docks on the magnet. Crazy popular for us. We've exceeded all sales targets on the Magnetix. It's done what it's supposed to do at a very affordable price. But if you think about it, not all of us want to take the same type of shower. It's nice to have options. So if you want more of the pressure or just more of the rain type experience, you can do that with this head, and it's very affordable.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if we're looking for, the renewal gift in the past was a carpet clean. We'd come in and clean your carpet once you renew, for 2 reasons. One, it helps the carpet last longer, but 2, it's that gift. It makes you feel good about it. But,
Sure.
More and more communities are getting away from carpet. They're doing hard surface floor, wood, vinyl, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So the renewal carpet clean really doesn't have the value it used to. And we get questions a lot of, what are other people doing for renewals?
Sure.
And so, some of these products, for the right resident, or, to have like a little menu of it, hey, it's your 1-year renewal. You get to pick one of these things off this list, your 5-year, pick 2,
Sure.
whatever it is. So.
Yeah. And again, I know that we're being broadcast all around the world here. I'm just throwing some things out there. If something sparks an interest to somebody and they want to go check it out, they can.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll put the Moen part numbers up, in post-production, so that as we talk about it, the part number pops up for those of you that are watching on Spotify or YouTube. I guess on Facebook too. It shows the video.
Awesome.
And then I'll put it in the comments of all the posts so that if you don't watch the video, you can get the part numbers that way.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Any other products that come to mind?
I'm sure I've missed a bunch of them.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the goal isn't to go through the whole Moen catalog, but like I said, I steered you towards a few that I think bring a lot of value, specifically for our industry, that people probably aren't aware of, and so I'm hoping we can get the education piece, straight to the properties this way.
I probably should mention that Moen is kind of known for single family, but something we haven't mentioned, under our umbrella is Cleveland, CFG, Cleveland Faucet Group, which is specifically designed for multifamily applications. It's got a 10-year warranty on the Cleveland. The Moen has the limited lifetime, but the Cleveland also uses a ceramic disc cartridge. And again, I'm aware of the podcast and who we're talking to here, so I just think it's worth mentioning that CFG is in the Moen family.
Yeah, I mean, I think CFG is very highly used in the industry. It's got all the benefits of a Moen, from a durability standpoint. And like we've talked about, residents are not gentle on anything, so that it really helps out there, and they're super repairable, which is the other aspect of it. I get frustrated when we have these maintenance guys and they'll go to the box store and get the $10 faucet. So, wow, this thing's only $10. Great. Well, in 6 months when it's leaking, you have to replace it because you can't get the parts for it, and it only lasted 6 months.
Right.
So I think the CFG is that balance between it's a good price point and it's durable and easily repairable.
Yeah. We've just been talking all Moen here, and I just, again, knowing the target audience, I wanted to mention it. So.
Yeah. So, like I said, you're the first, non-property staff person that I've had on the podcast. So I don't know where this is going to go, but we try to share some of the crazy stories. I'm wondering if you have any crazy stories for me.
Yeah. So it's not crazy, but it's just something that I'll never forget. Very interesting. So from time to time, I live in St. Augustine, but I obviously cover the Jacksonville market, Daytona, and I go up into a little bit of South Georgia. But I'm the area representative for Moen, and it's not uncommon for me to go to, say, a new construction home or a job site if there's an issue. I'm not a plumber, but sometimes if the homeowner's already moved in, it gives them a little bit more warm fuzzies if somebody shows up in a Moen shirt or something, and to help them if there's an issue. But I did get a call from a plumber. The home was less than a year old, and the homeowner was having an issue with the kitchen faucet sprayer, the side sprayer. And okay, well, it's probably a replacement sprayer would solve the problem. And I suggested that. No, they wanted to see somebody from Moen if possible, and okay, well, let me go take a look. Again, I'm no plumber, but I'll go take a look. This is the crazy part. I get there, the homeowner greets me at the door and takes me to the bathroom. Yeah, I was told it was a kitchen faucet sprayer. What they had done.
I think I've seen this.
You know where this is going? What they had done was tried to plumb it to the toilet and use it as like as bidet. A bidet. We were talking about earlier. This homeowner, I don't believe, was from this country. Couldn't understand why they couldn't get the pressure that they felt that they should have had. And again, you can't make that stuff up.
Yeah. So did you hook them up with one of those eBidet toilets, or was this before that was in production?
Yeah, it was before that. Unfortunately, I certainly would have suggested that, but it's just comical. I should have taken a video or pictures or something. But Yeah, kitchen faucet sprayers, folks, are not designed to be used as bidets.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we've seen random photos, and I don't know if it's actually from an apartment or not, but it shows up in some of these apartment maintenance groups of like the black with the silver ring kitchen sprayer that has been around for 30 years, and it's hooked up somehow to the toilet valve, and they're obviously that's what they're using it for.
Yeah,
like, good God,
unbelievable. But that was one that certainly I'll never forget. It was
that's why a replacement sprayer wouldn't work. 'Cause,
right.
If you're not using it the way it's designed to be used, replacing it's not going to fix it.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. So
okay. So career-wise, any career advice for anybody out there? Anything impactful that you learned over the years that is something that you would share, or something you learned the hard way that if you had to do again, you would do it differently?
Yeah, great question. So I'm actually glad you brought it up, because back when I was growing up, many, many years ago, the college was a big emphasis for younger people, and that's something that I did. Looking back at the way things now, Moen does a lot of studies on the number of plumbers that are coming into the field and the number of plumbers that are leaving, and the numbers aren't working. Way more people will be leaving the industry than are coming in. So from a career standpoint, if you're a younger person and you're not really sure the path that you want to take, you may want to consider plumbing. Again, the demand is just going to outweigh the supply of capable plumbers. We partnered with the MicroWorks Foundation, so there's scholarship money for anybody interested in learning about plumbing and trades in general. We are members of NEFBA, the Northeast Florida Builder Association here in Jacksonville, and they have an apprentice program that they offer. So again, that's local here in this area, but I'm sure in most communities that there's hopefully some trade schools and apprenticeship programs that people can get involved in. Looking back on it, if I could, I would have learned a trade. I'm 50 years old, and I paid off my student loans at the age of 45.
Yeah, sadly enough, I think there's a lot of that goes around. I'm glad you brought up the trades thing, because there is a lot of that, specifically plumbers, and I do think that's national. That's not isolated just in Florida. So that's an education, a certificate that is definitely worth getting, a license.
Sure.
And I think it's a lot more valuable than people think in terms of what you're going to make. I think people think, oh, I'm going to be a plumber, I'm not going to make any money. That is not the case.
True.
Yeah,
not true
at this point, like, you pretty much name your price right now.
You really can. I talk to plumbers every day, every single day that I work. I'm in touch with a plumber. I'm going and seeing a plumber. I don't know any of them that are poor. Mm-hmm. I don't. Most of them have offshore fishing boats and vacation properties, and they are doing very well. It's name your price at this point. I think a study that Moen did, by the year 2026, which isn't that far away, half of the plumbers that are in the field won't be in the field then, and there's only like a 10% coming in to the field. Yeah. So there's a major shortage of plumbers.
Yeah, and look, I hate to say, because we have our own labor shortage and challenges when it comes to hiring maintenance guys in the industry. But part of what got me into this industry is when I got out of the military, I was using my GI Bill to go to college, and I wanted to work while I did it, and so I ended up in maintenance, taking classes at night. But if I can get a bachelor's degree on top of doing this job, then somebody who's interested in becoming a plumber or getting in one of the trades can probably do that as well. Right. To make that transition. That is one of the good things about this industry, is it's a set schedule. I know the on-call piece is a little crazy, and there were times that I'd get called out of class for an emergency.
Sure.
But there are also ways around that. There were some of the properties I was at, the other maintenance guys knew that, hey, I'm on call, but Tuesday night I'm in class from, 6 to 8.
Right.
So, you're going to cover those 2 hours for me, and I've got the rest of it. And, so, that kind of team effort to get it done. But I think the trades is a really good call out.
Yeah, I think they just aren't getting as much love as they should be, and there's I really think moving forward they can name their own price. Plumbers are at a point now where you think back to 08 and 09, they took whatever work they could find. Well, that the times are changing, and now they pick and choose what work they want to do and what work they don't. So, if you've got a commercial job and they're a residential plumber, good luck. You might have to call 4 or 5 different plumbers before you can find somebody to do what you need done.
Yeah.
So they're in a really good spot.
Awesome. Any last advice or comments or anything you wish I had brought up?
Not really. I do want to give you a heartfelt thank you. This is cool. What gave you the idea to do this cast?
So part of it is, like I said, I love having, somebody like you come into, our sales meeting to teach us about the new products. I guess it's the maintenance guy in me. I'll sponsor lunches at the apartment association and kind of have this quick conversation, a 5-minute, during their training of whatever that new cool product is to try to help spread the word. So I thought that you could do that on this. And then also there's other just industry questions that get asked in a lot of these social media groups that never get answered. Because, I don't know how much time you spend on social media, but if you ask a question, the first 90 people that respond are going to be mad about how you asked the question. And then, half of the actual responses you get will be sarcastic answers to your question.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of that just never gets answered. I'm like, man, if we could get the right people in front of the microphone, we can share some of this knowledge about products that customers might not be aware of. But we can also answer some of those questions that there may not be answers for that a lot of people are experiencing. And then, anybody you talk to in the industry will tell you there should be a book or a movie or something about some of the crazy stuff that we've seen. So, this is also a place to share some of those stories.
Yeah. It's just a great idea. And again, thank you so much for having me on. When you first told me about the podcast, I was excited. Number one, that you wanted me to be a part of it, but number two, I was excited for you. Do you have any background in doing this? Or?
No, I was, in the AV club in high school. That's about as far as this goes. So I've got some basic knowledge of, what end of the plug to plug into each thing, and lots of Googling. But yeah, it's not to inspire people to do this and compete with me, but it's not that hard.
Well, I kudos to you. I think it's great. And, like I said, I've heard most, if not all, of the podcasts. Thoroughly enjoyed them, and just really happy to be a part of one. So thank you.
Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on. And again, I'll get the Moen part numbers from you for the stuff that we talked about. We'll go ahead and get that stuff uploaded. But
perfect.
Thanks for being on, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.